Everybody, this is my dog Bryce. Bryce, say hello to everybody. Yes, he's a good boy. I'm sure you'll see Clyde pop up in the window every now and again. So, yeah, I really loved training out in Bridgeport. It was probably one of the pluses to 2020 that I'm never going to forget. It was definitely my favorite part of the year, and it was pretty late into it, given all the COVID restrictions. And this was the 4th or 5th time that I've been to Bridgeport, because my last station was with 29 Palms, and they send UTAD to Bridgeport all the time to cover the red hats that work there, which are essentially the instructors. It was really cool to see how CLB2 trained in the mountains and how they adapt and overcame situations that were difficult for them given the austere environment that Bridgeport offers. The really cool thing that I love about Bridgeport is that laterally it's pretty much in line with the environment. There is very similar to terrain that we could very potentially be fighting in the near future. It gives a really good insight into what kind of challenges we might face. We trained at about a 6,000 foot to 9,000 foot altitude. We did blockades, we accomplished mountain driving, animal packing. So many courses were offered there of phenomenal training, and the Marines came out of it better for it. Every time I go to Bridgeport, I've realized that it is such a spiritual experience, and more than just the training it gives you, you really connect to that side of yourself that's difficult to otherwise. And I have a feeling it's just because it's so much closer to nature. It's very close to Yosemite, and it's actually in Toyabe National Forest, so it made for some really phenomenal imagery. There's one image here that I'll show you from when we were conducting a blockade, and I really love seeing Corporal Geist man this unmanned aerial system. It's wonderful that an NCO can be entrusted with a $200,000 piece of military equipment. I think it's wonderful that we are utilizing new technology every day. So another thing that I did while I was out there is Hands of a Mechanic. This was when CLB2 was doing a transmission replacement, which normally they wouldn't do, but because they were out in a field environment, they couldn't send the Humvee out to get the transmission replaced as they normally would. And so the mechanics there conducted this transmission replacement and did a phenomenal job at it. And I'm really glad that Gunny Jones told me, hey, this is what's happening. So I went down there and I covered it, and I got some phenomenal images of Marines doing their job and doing a great job at it too, and really ensuring that we make the most of our taxpayers' dollar. I went rucking with about a 60-pound pack through the mountains of the Toyabe National Forest, and it was awesome. We moved about 3 to 4, possibly 5 clicks. It was 3 clicks as the crow flies, but we all know that never really works out the way that you think it does. And I had an awesome time. I was really surprised and happy with my performance because I was able to keep up, myself and Lance Corporal Moore both. We had no issues. In fact, it was generally pretty easy for us. We did quite a few long-range convoys, and it was great. The Marines of CLB2 loved being on camera, so it was wonderful because I have this new method that I'm trying. Well, it's not my method, and it's not really new, but it's new to me. So I was trying out a method for myself called the Brenzier method, and it's where you take a bunch of photos around. Sometimes people do 15, you can do any number really, but I would take 40 photos across the scene that I was doing, and then I would compile them in Lightroom to create one image. And so these Marines had to stay very still, and they were very good about it, and this is my favorite photo from the long-range convoy. So essentially on the long-range convoy, they were checking and making sure that there were no IEDs, and if there was an IED, then what would be the corrective actions to avoid failure. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk about my experiences in Bridgeport, and I hope that you can either do the same, learn from my experiences, or follow along for more.